last appeared at the hearing on December 23rd, there was the beginning of a discussion concerning the location of a sewer line on Memorial Drive. And at that point, Ms. Sweet suggested that perhaps a working session would help the parties, resolve the issue or at least clarify the issue. And we all thought that was a good idea, and in fact, a working session was held. I don't believe any members of the ZBA were present during that working session, but I believe Town Council was present.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did sit in.
And Jasmine, our Director of Planning, was also present, and I'm not sure who else was there. Without being present, I'm not quite sure what was accomplished, but perhaps, Brian, you could just review exactly sort of what took place and what was resolved and what wasn't resolved, and we'll go from there.
You want to jump in on that too? I'll start us off. But so I don't have my notes from that workshop, Mr. Chairman, but I'll go from memory. And we had a discussion about what some of the obstacles were and some of the challenges were to the relocation of that sewer line. After some discussion, it became apparent that some additional information was probably needed, some additional investigation. I believe Doug Small attended that as well, and yes. One of the challenges was that some of the records aren't as complete as maybe everyone had hoped, and so there's some missing information. And so I think where we left the conversation was a question, not an agreement on how to proceed, but a question. And the choices were one suggestion by the applicant to maybe consider, for this board to consider, a condition that would leave the question of the location open, and that they would proceed under that condition and then make a decision once they got in the field and started doing some of that work, and then decide if it was possible to put it in the road or if it needed to remain as it's shown on the plan now. I had some concerns that I expressed about that, a condition that's sort of leaving sort of a fundamental decision to the future. So I couldn't speak for the board at that time, and so I tried not to, but just expressed my preliminary concern on that. But the other option is to, the other two options, I suppose, are to do some of that work now and try to determine whether or not it can be located in the road. So that's an upfront undertaking and an upfront cost for the applicant. And the third option would be that the board just impose a condition in its decision, if it's an approval, that requires it be located in the road. And if for some reason there's an engineering challenge or some other challenge that prevents them from doing that, they could come in and seek a modification at that time. So at any rate, no decision was made, but I think that's where we left it. Do you have a different memory or anything you want to add to that?
That was exactly how I recall it. Also, our peer review, Bethany Ordung from Haley Ward, was present for that conversation as well.
Okay.
May I speak to that?
You certainly may. I was just going to call upon you, so I'm glad you're so eager to respond.
Thank you, and thank you, Brian and Jasmine, for arranging the meeting. So there still is concern on the developer's end of putting the sewer line in the road because of the two utility crossings that would have to happen for that. In speaking with our engineer after the meeting, there was discussion about potentially doing some soil testing to try and locate the sewer on site, but parallel to the road, which was how it was originally depicted in the Pell, the first application that we made for that. Right now, it's very tough with the winter conditions to do any testing. And I'll speak to this again when we get to the water and sewer topic. So, you know, in the interest of time, and I know it's not Brian's first choice, we would still be open to some type of a condition that this continue to be explored. Again, understanding that the town does, you know, least choice is to see it the way that it was proposed to the ZBA. But our hands are kind of tied because we're just having a winter. And, you know, so that's where the team is at on this, you know, at this point in time.
Okay, so I guess my question is, where do we go from here at this point? We have a hearing that's underway, we have a time deadline that's approaching, and obviously in the winter, borings are perhaps difficult, but I think, just speaking for myself, it's a non-starter to leave it in a decision and leave it up to the developer to decide where they want to put the sewer line, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not in favor of that, and I don't know about my fellow board members, but we don't perhaps need to get to that point now.
If I can just sort of get to the water and sewer topic, because that also kind of pertains to timing and it might help
Certainly.
make a decision. So, you know, equally, our hands are tied. It took a while to coordinate with the town departments to set up the testing and the monitoring that was requested by Bethany. And our hands are tied with regard to testing until we have weather that is not freezing. So we have kind of two issues on our doorstep right now that we have no control over. And I think that there's several matters that have been resolved. I'm hoping that we can resolve architecture tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when we are going to be able to finish that sewer testing. You know, for that reason, we are definitely going to need and will authorize an extension to the hearing dates. We certainly don't want to close the hearing without having the answers on that, you know, on the water and sewer. And I guess, you know, kind of our thinking was, since we have no control over the weather, and it could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, if we feel at the end of this hearing that everyone is in a good place on traffic, on architecture, on civil, then perhaps we could start working towards a decision, leaving a bunch of blanks in it until we're able, until the weather cooperates a little bit more. And then we're just going to have to keep extending until we can do the work that we want to do, but because, you know, we're having a bad winter, we're, you know, not able to.
Well, understood. I'm just looking at our peer review report from Michael Carter that is dated December 18th, and one of the things he recommends in item number, I think, 22 of his report was that they recommended a condition be placed on the development that no work can begin until the soils are confirmed, addressing the issue that there was uncertainty about what was underneath the surface and what type of soil, whether there was ledge and what have you. That might be something that we could do.
I think that report was written before we had actually done soil testing.
Okay.
We had done, I'm sorry, we had done soil testing. Our civil engineer had submitted that soil testing. And again, there was a mix-up with getting the information to the civil engineer. So there were some emails back and forth. And at this point in time, the last email from Jasmine and, you know, which confirmed our civil engineer's viewpoint, which is that he's satisfied on all of his conditions. So, we feel that with regard to traffic, we're done, and with regard to civil, we're done, and we're hoping to have a healthy discussion tonight on the architecture.
Okay, when would you propose, I know weather is uncertain, but when would you suggest the weather might be suitable for doing the additional work you mentioned concerning the water and sewer in the,
Yeah, I just want to look
Stormwater.
up Sean's last email to me, and see what it said. So it's my understanding that the flow meters were installed on or around January 15th. And those flow meters need to be in place for at least 4 weeks. So that would bring us to the middle of February. And then they need to go in with the CCTV inspections, which is sort of the camera. And that, I believe, is, and I may be, you know, converting the two of them. That is what needs the, you know, the camera. And so I would say that we need at least until the middle of February for, you know, one portion of the testing to be done. And, you know, again, it's unusual for us to have, you know, 10-degree weather for 2 weeks in a row kind of thing, or be under 30. So, you know,
okay,
I can get a better date, but that would be my initial sense, that we didn't need a good 2 to 3 weeks from
Thank
this
you for
meeting
that. I mean, to me, that
connect
seems
again.
like a reasonable time frame. We're not talking months. So it would seem like a reasonable time frame to operate on getting the additional information, which hopefully will help us solve the problem that we're dealing with.
I mean,
Fellow
but even if they get the testing results, they still have to write the report, and then there's going to be like back and forth. So, you know, and given that, I think we have about a month of hearings left, you know, under the 180 clock. I just feel like we should, you know, that we're probably potentially going to need another month or two after, you know, the 180 days are over. So we just need to kind of continue to try and proceed with what we can proceed with, and do the best we can.
Well, my thought is if that's what it takes, we're prepared to give you the time that's necessary to get the reports so that our peer reviewer can look at it and have a conversation with your engineer and hopefully get the issues resolved and allow us to come to a conclusion on this issue. Fellow board members, does that sound reasonable?
Yes, it does, and if I understand correctly, we're looking at possibly a 2-month extension. Is that what you're saying, Ms. Sweet?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, I'd like to take it a month, you know, a month at a time. But, you know, my sense is, you know, at the end of the day, we're gonna need that, just to, yeah, I think so.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just,
counsel.
I think your next board meeting is, what, February 10th?
February 10th is the next board
And the
member.
180 days expires on February 22nd. So do you have one meeting
Yeah.
between now and the expiration?
We have one meeting unless we have special meetings
Okay.
scheduled.
You know, I think we should meet again on the 10th, and I think I'll have a lot more information at that point as to how much of an extension we should do. Certainly, you know, just want everyone to know that, you know, there's a willingness here, because
Well, as long with the understanding that there's a willingness on the applicant's part to
100%.
expand the hearing date, and we do appreciate that. We don't need to have an extension tonight. I'm willing to wait until February 10th. because obviously if the circumstances change and there's not an extension granted, it's not going to be in the applicant's favor when we go forward, because we won't have the adequate information.
I would expect not, and you would be able to continue that meeting from the 10th to any date between then and the 22nd to close. And that would start your 40-day clock. So obviously, the applicant wouldn't prefer that, I would imagine.
We're not
But
going to
the
be,
board is
we're
also-
not going to be ready.
Yeah, but the board's protected in the event, so I think we could handle it on the
Okay.
10th.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Ryan
I
and Stu?
didn't have Paul here because I assumed we'd be having one more, but I spoke with him today, our attorney, so we're all in agreement.
Okay. Ryan and Stu, are you
Makes sense
okay
on my
with
end.
what we've been talking about?
Yes. Makes sense on my end.
Okay, and Stu, how about for you?
Okay with me.
Okay. Let me suggest this. I see that we have two architects present, yours, and we have our peer reviewer, who have been patiently waiting on issues that don't really concern them, and we're taking up their time, so maybe we can sort of slide to that and deal with the architecture issue. How would that be? And I know your architect is present, and we also have our peer reviewer, and let me just check the name because it is a long last name.
It's Amy Lotfacoco. I won't make you say it.
No, I'm going to say it. Amy Sheehan Latva Coco,
Coco, yeah.
who's been our peer reviewer. And
Oh,
Amy, perhaps it would be helpful, we have your report, and I know the applicant's architect had issued a response that came in this afternoon, and I think you've perhaps had a brief time to review it. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your initial review and any particular issues that you had, and then perhaps where we stand.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Amy Lotfacoco. I'm an architect with Studio DSK. We're in Concord, Massachusetts. A director there. I'm AIA certified passive house designer and lead building design and construction professional, as well as AIA. I'm excited to review this project. We did have, just to give a little context, it took a while for our contract to be approved. We did put our proposal in September, and we just got it finalized in January, but was able to meet with the applicant in December, just, in good faith. Let's talk about the project, get accustomed to the drawings and have that walkthrough, which was very helpful. And then I was able to walk the site Thursday, a little less than 2 weeks ago, which was very helpful, and get to know the site and understand where all the renderings were taken from. And then I was then able to put together an initial review of the drawing package, which I believe was from March, and go through that with Ms. Canistra and Ms. Sweet. And we went through the drawings, and just in order to be able to evaluate the drawings, I needed to request some changes just to add fenestration, so doors and windows, just to be able to understand the plans better. And the fourth floor plan, which is a mansard roof condition, which has a slightly different configuration, I just needed to understand that. So that letter that you have in hand is really an initial review to just make sure I was understanding things correctly, because there were some things. So so my initial review was really to get the drawings so that we can now take them, overall. But and those items that I asked for have really seemed to have been addressed. And I can take you through the building as an overview, if that if that would be useful. Sorry, I'm looking at the drawings and I've lost you all on my screen. Forgive me for one moment, please. I'm just going to move my drawings to a different screen. So, forgive me. Sorry about that. So the existing lot at 55 West Union Street, it is zoned as commercial highway. And the proposed building is 116 units. Oh, thank you. 116 units. The 116 residential units with 168 standard parking spaces and 6 accessible spaces for a parking ratio of 1.5. Total gross square footage is 134,806 gross square feet. You can see that on the drawing there, with a lot area of 211,827. That works out to 4.9 acres. And the FAR there, you can see is 0.64. Not listed here is the building height, and that's something maybe we can talk about after I go into the overview, but it is 52 feet. And so measure from the average grade plane, it's a 4.5-story structure. And this view, if you don't mind, I don't know if it's possible to make this full screen, but you can see this view is towards the entry. And we're seeing the drive-through corridor here. And so one of the amendments that we see now, we see windows in that corner on the 4th floor that hadn't previously been there. So we appreciate that that's been then updated in the drawing, and now the plans are making a little more sense to us. So this drive-through under port area is a drop-off area, and this is that half-story. When it said 4.5 stories, this is where we have that half-story zone. And just to be oriented, if you don't mind making it full screen again. Yeah, we can see from the locus map, from the site aerial, and later plans, Ms. Canistra has added key plans to orient so that you can see immediately. And maybe I would suggest for the public to have that view clarified that this is from Memorial, and we're looking kind of southeast. Yeah, exactly where your cursor is, towards West Union. So Duncan is down to our left in this view, just to get oriented. So if you don't mind going to the next sheet, please. This is the breakdown of the units, and basically each floor has the same layout, except that the fenestration does change on the 4th floor. But there is a 25% mix of affordable units, and my understanding is that they are of the same number, that it is 25% of the A type, 25% of the B type, and 25% of the C type of that for the AMI. It is noted here that X.1 units at mansard roof to have unique layouts, so that could be useful. And then note that there's this note: the project will include 6, which is 5%, which is what is required, of Group 2A units in compliance with Mass Architectural Access Board. That's 521 CMR 9.4, and this is an elevator building, and so each unit will be able to be visited, and Ms. Canistra noted that in the letter. If you don't mind going to the next sheet, please. So this is the downstairs floor and lobby amenities. Note on the social lounge area, that is where we have a lot of glass to get light, and that's facing West Union. There's actually small frontage on West Union, and then there's a co-working space, conference room, fitness, and a bike storage. And so I, just saying from one of the things we had discussed, I think the only revision on this plan really is, there's a way out around the bike storage, between the packages and bike storage. There's a door that just hadn't been there before, so that somebody could wheel their bike out so they don't have to wheel it out through the lobby. And you can see the elevator is at the end of the hall, at the upper left-hand side of the building. And then you can see the egress stairs at the top of the plan and also down at the lower part of the plan. And then building signage is noted there. This is the ground floor, the amenity space, and then we don't have a site plan here, but the landscape plan, I did receive that last week, and that's not in this drawing set though. If we go to the next sheet, so this now has the windows in it for the overall configuration, and 3 means of egress, three stairs, and then that one centrally located elevator. So maximizing daylighting for all of the units, and a pretty compact floor plan. So one of the things, because I got these at 2 p.m. today, I would love to do a little bit more of a deeper dive. And so, we're going to keep flipping through these drawings and we can ask questions, but I just wanted to say that I would request if I might have a little more time with the drawings. That would be appreciated. I understand it took a while to get us on board, but it would be appreciated. If you don't mind going to the 4th floor plan. So this is a new drawing that maybe people haven't seen before. This was added at our request because the mansard level, which does help with the articulation of the building, having a different material and having it step in the way that helps reduce the massing of the building. So this is a slightly different floor plan, and so some of the window openings they shift to provide some variation to the facade, and so we had just requested that this plan be drawn, and so this was provided today. And I haven't been able to do that close of an assessment to the differences between the plans, but the elevations, I believe, now reflect that. Go to the next one. This is the roof plan, and you can see that in plan around the perimeter of the building, that the mansard roof, those slopes, those steep slopes, are evident. And then in the center of the plan are the mechanical units, the condensing units rather, for each unit, and then roof drains are indicated RD there. And then dashed lines are indicated. In Massachusetts, we do, of our roof area that's usable, that for solar, we do 40% of that roof. We just indicate those areas, and down the road when for building permit, and it's good to have that thought through. So I just will ask, the applicant with the parapet. We were just looking at the parapet height. In order to keep the building height low, the parapet is quite low in this section, and so if there are tie-offs, then then for if this is only accessible for folks who are doing the mechanical work, then it would be acceptable to not have guards or a taller parapet. So that would be a question. Just we haven't talked about it. We have now having these more refined drawings. So that would be a question. But we're glad to see the drawing updates as requested. And if I could go to the next sheet, please. Yeah, so these renderings, and the bottom one I see has been updated. So the key plan is very helpful. So the neighbor to the southwest, excuse me, the construction company, general construction company, they have a building, excuse me, very quite close to the west to the street with, and so that the ghost, and when you look at perspective 2, the top perspective, you see a ghost of it, that white building, and that's catching that building and then framing it. And so one of the revisions that we see in this is that the grading is going up. We're seeing that much more steeply, and so I just had some questions about the foreshortening of that. I received the landscaping plan so a little bit later, so I was just wondering about that. But what we're seeing now is we have a updated 4th floor in the bottom view, that bottom perspective. So both of these drawings have been updated as requested. And if we go to the next sheet, please. And the elevations, these have been updated to reflect additional windows for bedrooms on that 4th floor. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the zones of the building that step back from the where the balconies are, those are I'm not sure if they were a different color before, but I was pleased to see the different color, because I think that helps with breaking down the massing. That the stepping back certainly helps with breaking down the massing, but then adding it, giving it a different color is helping it also. So from in this bottom view, we can really see that halves, where we get that 4.5 stories, and where that 52 feet comes from. And we calculate it from the average grade, where we get that 52 feet. And so that is a question that maybe the architect could speak to, is in the commercial highway or highway commercial, I always get it backwards, which one is the correct way to say it, district is this height compliant in this district? So that zoning area, that's one question we have. And then if you don't mind going to the next one. This has been updated to reflect some pictures of built installations of these materials, so that we can see the fiber cement lap siding, that kind of in that brownish tone, and then the mansard roofs, the expression of a standing seam metal roof, and then also the buff brick, an example of that installed. So and then we also see the storefront windows, which are those amenity spaces downstairs. Those are the community gathering spaces. And then outdoor balconies are provided. One thing that would probably be helpful is to also see that secondary tone that is being used for the fiber cement siding, where the building steps in. And one thing we're seeing on the facade is, by having those 3 stories to be the fiber cement, and then having the upper one be the mansard roof with shifting windows, changing that pattern, is it helps break the building down and create visual interest. If you go to the next page, please. and then this building section. So explaining that 52-foot height. And you see the elevator overrun there also. It goes above that. And then if building sections, and then we have some of the unit plans. Not all of the unit plans on this next sheet are depicted, but I had requested one more because this is the one that 4 is a new one in terms of depiction, and that's the unit where I hadn't seen the windows before. So that's updated in the rendering. And so we have a 2-bed, 2-bath in the upper left-hand corner, and with outdoor living space. Each bedroom is provided daylight windows as required. And there is another configuration of a 2-bed, 2-bath on the right. Primary bedroom on one side of living and secondary bedroom on the second side. And then on the bottom right plan is a version of the 1-bed, 1-bath. And then we have the 3-bed, 3-bath configuration. So these are the updated drawings. Thank you for sending these through. So I just have some initial questions from just this quick review this afternoon that I had, and would love to ask some initial questions and yeah. Is the 52-foot height compliant?
If
Would
it
a-
is
This is a 40B, so we are allowed to ask for waivers from underlying zoning.
Right, but a waiver would be required.
It's
Okay,
faster.
Amy, I just wanted to ask, the applicant submitted a report early afternoon today with the updated drawings that you've just reviewed with us. Do you need more time to review anything else in that and render a report? Or what would your preference be? I think you started to say you had a few questions, and is that something that you could do offline with the applicant's architect perhaps, and produce a final report for us? Or how would you like to proceed?
That sounds great. Yep. Yeah, that would be great, because the initial report was an initial report. I got updated drawings that now are a little more ready for me to review. And so, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so would you be able
So
to?
is it also fair to say that you don't have the waiver list?
They were not listed on the drawings.
Okay, I'll send you the waiver list too.
Okay, thank you.
Would you be able to review and answer whatever questions you might have and get a report back to us in time for our next meeting, which would be on February 10th?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Ms. Sweet, is that a good way to proceed, to have our peer reviewer speak with your architect offline to get the answers to her questions? You're going to send her your waiver request. I'm not sure she needs that, but that's fine.
Okay. Can I just make a request? Can I just have Jasmine make sure that everything is up to date on the town's website, and make sure that Amy has access to that website? It became clear that she had not been provided with the full set of landscape drawings, and now we're learning that she doesn't have the waiver list. I don't know whether or not she has, the site plan, and obviously everything is really interrelated. So I just want to make sure she has everything she needs, and we are very happy to come back on the 14th, and hopefully some more progress will have been made by that point in time.
Okay, that'll be the 10th and not the 14th that you'll come back, hopefully.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know
that's
that's on
okay.
the weekend. Hang on,
We don't want you to miss the
make sure I
meeting.
put that in my calendar. Yep, the 10th.
Okay. Fellow board members, is that a good way to proceed with this, so we can come to hopefully a final conclusion on the architectural issues at our next meeting?
I agree with this, yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I just
Absolutely.
ask
Yeah.
one question of you?
Yes.
If the board would consider, if you would be open to asking Amy how she feels the architecture fits with the harmony of the existing neighborhood, especially considering the potential construction that would be going down the street and the addition of the YMCA as well, just looking how the building fits in a whole
Well,
to the neighborhood.
why don't you address that question to her, and that can be part of her supplemental report that will come in next time. If that's all right with you, Amy?
That I would love to have opportunity to think about that now that I've have the updated drawings, and I've visited the site and walked the site and been to the development down the street towards the MBTA up north there, and that's a wonderful question, and we'll certainly address that.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Then, Ryan and Stu, you okay with that method of proceeding with the architects talking offline and then a supplemental report from our peer reviewer in time for our next meeting?
Yes, I am.
And Stu, how about you?
I am also
Okay.
okay with that.
Anybody have any questions of our peer reviewer, Amy, before we move on to the next subject?
I have a quick one. Just in looking at the plans, the elevator looks really small to me. I don't know if there's a standard that you use for a building size to come up with the size of an elevator. I'm just wondering who looks at that.
We do. I think both Talia and I can feel that. It's there. Different building types require different sizes in terms of what kind of services need to be provided, and yeah, that's one that yeah, you do that. And I would say they're also, it's a big building, so the elevators may appear small because it's a big building.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Sweet, anything you want to add on this subject before we move on?
I just would like my architect at the next meeting to perhaps present her plans, because I don't know that she has been able to present the updated drawings and the decisions that were made, rather than have someone else interpret her plans, if that's something that the board will allow.
Sure. I think I see no reason not to do that, give you an opportunity to make the presentation. And I think it might be helpful after our peer reviewer has an opportunity to review the most recent submission today, to give your architect an opportunity. We'd be glad to hear from her.
Do you also want us to bring the landscape architect in? I know we've spent a lot of time talking about civil. I just want to make sure that I have everybody that's needed at the meeting.
Won't hurt. It's one more thing we can cover while we wait for the digging to, the flow meters to work. Okay, then I think we're done with the architecture for the evening. And Amy, thank you very much for being here. You're welcome to stay and watch the rest of the meeting, but you certainly do not have to. It's perhaps not the most riveting TV at the moment.
Well, thank you. I may have to sign off, go eat dinner. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Bye-bye. Okay. Next item, this is a question that some of us have, I think, and that's with the site is almost a 5-acre site. And there isn't really any recreational space on the site, which seems to be something that is missing for a development that's going to house almost 200 people when it's full. And I guess
That was Zoya.
I'm glad the cat is out of the way and you handled her gently. I fully appreciate the problem of the cat and the keyboard. Oh my goodness. Maine Coon cat?
Siberian forest cat.
Oh my. This is
Lots
her
of
kind
fur.
of weather then.
You'd think.
Okay.
So
Can you
getting
address
back
the
to your
issue about,
question.
recreational space and why there
So-
isn't any on the,
So one
shown
of the
on the
reasons that,
property?
well, one of the reasons that we limited the recreational space, and Talia may be able to tell you, what we have in the building and a little bit of what we have outside, is because the school is down the street and in walking distance, because the rail trail is down the street and in walking distance, and because the Y is going to be across the street. So we definitely have some internal space for I think maybe a small fitness center, and I think we have an outdoor seating area. But I'm gonna let Talia speak to the elements that we put on it. But it was very deliberate because we feel like it's in an amazing location for those reasons that I just went over.
Okay.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Talia with Studio Can. Another challenge with this site is the slope. So outdoor space would be challenging to have a large space for recreation. However, we have carved out a seating area at the main entry that's for welcoming, for waiting, and for potentially whatever people want to use if they want to sit outside. And there's also a dog run relief area as well, so you can take your pets, and there's a designated place for that. And then just soft landscaping around the building itself. So other than just the slope and it being pretty severe, those were the places that we've located a few little things. Inside the building, as Lynn had said, we have a fitness space, we have co-working, we have a social lounge for soft seating, and a catering kitchen. So it does offer a good amount of space within the building as well.
And basically anything that is going to be outside needs to be accessible, with ADA, it's inside and outside, because it's considered public space.
I don't at this time.
I need to turn my mic on. Ryan and Stu, you all set on this?
I am, yes.
Okay, excellent. One last thing perhaps tonight, and I'm not sure, it involves an email that was sent to the ZBA this afternoon by an abutter, rather detailed 3-page email from the abutter at, I believe it's the next building up, Brandon and Emery Bond, concerning 3 pages of concerns. And Ms. Sweet, did you receive a copy of that? When it was sent?
I just received it at 7:28 this
Okay.
evening. I will say that the owner has met numerous times. John Dudley has met numerous times with the bonds. So I need some time to digest it and see where he landed with everything.
Exactly. I just
Yeah.
it didn't look like when we got here and we reviewed it, it didn't look like you had received it. So we had our Director of Planning forward it to you. Obviously, you don't have opportunity to review it, but I would like to address some of the issues, at least at our next meeting, that they raise, and you'll have ample opportunity to review it and to respond to it. Their email indicated they were unable to be here either in person or on Zoom at tonight's meeting. Hopefully, they may be able to be present next time to address at least some of the issues that might need to be addressed. And is there anything else we can accomplish on this tonight?
It's a really good question. I don't think so. And I'm not sure that, you know, in glancing through this,
Yeah,
that.
we're in agreement on that, because I
And
couldn't
no,
think of
I'm,
anything else.
let me just get the rest of it out. You know, some of this has already been peer reviewed and agreed to, so I don't even know. You know, sometimes the butters don't want to agree with what a developer might say, but sometimes they will listen to what peer reviewers have to say. So I'm going to give this some thought and see whether or not we're the best party to respond on everything, or your, you know, your civil kind of thing. And I'll try and reach out to Jasmine once I've given it a little bit more thought.
I mean, we don't intend to prohibit you from not being able to respond with whoever you want to have respond on your behalf. So in that instance, don't feel constrained.
Yeah, thanks. I just don't, you know, like I said, if we say that, you know, water and stormwater's been peer reviewed and signed off on, and your peer reviewer says it, your peer reviewer's statement might have more weight than what we have. So I just want to think about it, and I appreciate the opportunity to have a little bit more time to sit with it.
Okay, Council, anything additional tonight that we need to do with respect to this matter?
Public comment, just as a procedural matter, but I don't have any requests at
You
this
know,
point.
I had public comment in the back of my mind, and it totally flew out of it because we have two people here in the meeting room, both of whom I'm sure aren't going to comment, but we do have people online. So why don't we open the matter to public comment? Anyone who on via Zoom that wishes to speak, please raise your hand. We use the little button to indicate that you want to be heard, and Jasmine will let you into the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I have Mark Tassoni.
Mr. Cassoni, did you say? Mark?
Yes.
Mark, would you identify yourself?
My name's Mark Tassoni, live at 119 Main Street. And I'm have been informed through this meeting tonight that it is going to be a continuance for the reasons that they want to get more information back and forth and get back to you as a board. To the what's her name? The one that's laying her hand into her head. Her head is the design actually completed as ready for site review, or is it going to be ready for
Mark, I'm
for
afraid
ZBA first?
your audio is breaking up a bit. I don't know if anybody else could understand you, but I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Okay, how's that?
Are you, the preliminary architecture has been done? The full construction drawings will not happen until if and when we receive a permit and move to the next phase of drawings. I'm not sure if that is what you're asking.
Yes. But that way, it's got to be presented fully in public once you get your permit. We're going to get a permit for the plan.
Well, the comprehensive permit process is just that. It's comprehensive. The zoning board of appeals is looking at a number of matters, including architecture, civil, water and sewer, and traffic. And that's what's under the purview of the zoning board of appeals. If they issue a decision, the decision will have a number of different sections in it. Some of those sections will be items that need to be dealt with before getting a building permit. But the actual final construction drawings will be reviewed along with conditions in the permit by the building inspector.
Okay, then through the building inspector, then it's gonna be going through the town hall offices that's with the building inspector. And then they're conceived and worked on and be ready for the next meeting after the building inspector inspects it.
No, Mark, you're going way off base with what we've been talking about this evening, so I think those questions would be better left to a subsequent meeting.
Because I know that the building inspector and Jasper's in that same two offices. I just gotta wonder if they ever gonna be, if once the deck gets looked at, it's gonna be talked between them two as prep to be shown.
I'm sorry, Mark, there's something wrong with the audio or something. I can't understand what you're saying. Can anyone else?
Nope.
So I think we're going to have to end this part of the public comment section for you, and hopefully when we reconvene on the next meeting, and if you wish to make public comment, the audio will be better so that we can understand you and report or answer whatever questions you might have. But thank you. Jasmine, is there anybody else?
There is not, but Mr. Disoni, we could also answer your questions in the office in the meantime. If you have time in the next few weeks, we could certainly answer those in-house as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, any other public comment requested?
None that I see.
Okay. Is there a motion to close public comment for this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, also vote in favor.
Okay, public comment is closed. For this evening. And we are now going to move to continue this hearing until Tuesday, February 10th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. This hearing is continued until Tuesday, February 10th at 7 p.m. And
Thank
see
you.
you all then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, or as soon as I find my agenda, and here it is, will be meeting minutes. This afternoon, we received a draft of the minutes for our January 13th meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them?
I have.
Ryan and
I have
Stu?
as well.
Okay.
I have also
Any
reviewed them.
questions or proposed changes in the minutes?
No.
None.
A motion to approve the minutes for the January 13th, 2026 meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
Excellent. Those minutes are approved, and thank you very much for submitting those. Next item on the agenda is staff updates and administrative matters. We have with us tonight Alex Mironovas, who has expressed interest in being appointed as an associate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Alex was present at our last meeting on January 13th, where we had an opportunity to find out a little bit about him and his background and why he was interested in becoming an associate member of the ZBA. And in accordance with my understanding of the present practice or desires of the Select Board, they like potential members to attend a couple of meetings to see if it's a if it's a fit for them. And Alex, as I said, did attend the last meeting. We had an opportunity to speak with him. He seems quite enthusiastic. And I think the general impression, and I won't speak for everybody, as I do speak for everybody, that the impression was that he was well qualified to be appointed an associate member of the ZBA. Brian, any questions for Alex or any concerns?
No,
No concerns at all.
Okay, Stu?
No concerns here.
Okay, thank you. Then the process will be, we're going to take a vote, and I will send an email. Hopefully I'll be able to do it tomorrow. If not tomorrow, definitely on Thursday morning, to the select board indicating that we have met with you, and we think that you would be a well appointment to associate member of the ZBA. And then the select board, Ms. Roby's, their assistant, would be in touch with you to schedule a meeting before the select board when they would have an opportunity to ask you questions and vote to whether to appoint you to the board. And after all that talking, I forget, did we formally vote to make that recommendation? No.
No.
Brian, would you like to make that motion?
yes, I move that we ask Alex to join our board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay. I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrest, all vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, also vote in favor.
Thank you. Alex, thank you very much for coming back tonight. And as I said, we'll proceed as I discussed. Staff updates and administrative matters. Jasmine, anything to report on that?
Nothing at this time. Oh, except our housing production plan. We do still have our survey up, so if anybody is interested and you haven't taken the survey yet, we do please encourage you to take the survey for the housing production plan, which is available on our website.
Thank you very much for that.
Oh, isn't that class coming up too, open meeting law thing?
Yes, that is on.
Next Wednesday.
It is next Wednesday.
I
At
believe
6, I believe it
o'clock,
starts at 6 o'clock, 6 to,
both online and in person.
yes.
So definitely all of us should be there. Alex, could you perhaps send Alex the appointment? Because assuming you are going to be appointed, and I have every assumption that you will be, there's, town council is going to offer an educational session on the open meeting law and conflict of interest law that she does every several years.
Yeah.
We have to take a test when you're appointed, of an online test about it. So this would be a good opportunity to get refreshed in person. So Jasmine will send you the links for that. Again, it's going to be in person at the community center, or given the fact that we seem to be in 10-degree weather with, a couple of feet of snow every couple of days, we may want to attend remotely. However, that being said, if there's nothing else, then thank you for reminding us of that, Brian. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrest, all vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
Thank you all very much, and we will see everybody on February 10th. And stay safe, please. And WACA, thank you very much.
Anybody over there?
Paul is. He is.